and welcome to Whiteboard Learning Platform. My name is Anuradha Tripathi, and in today's session we are going to discuss the current affairs which is important for all the competitive exam. And before I start the discussion, it is a humble request that if you are coming across the session for the very first time, don't forget to subscribe. And if you do have any doubt, don't forget to write in the comment section. So in the next session, I will try to resolve all the doubts which you are coming across, particularly from the today's topic. So for the 8th of October, the important current affairs which is in news in the different newspaper or from the government website is from the national affairs section. We are going to discuss that recently 5 new language have been accorded the status of the classical language. Then we are going to discuss about the Nikshay Poshan Yojana, whereby the Ministry of Health have increased the monetary benefit under this particular scheme for the patient who are suffering for the tuberculosis disease. Then we are going to discuss the species which is in news, Indian wild ass. Then we are going to discuss the index which is in news, which is Academic Freedom Index. From the environment and geographical area, we are going to discuss very important global framework on the chemicals which comes under the purview of United Nations Environment Program. Then we will be discussing about the state of the Global Water Resource Report 2023, which is published by the World Meteorological Organization. Then from the science section, we are going to discuss the advanced glycation end product. This is in news in relation to the high burden of the diabetes in India. Then in the last, from the international affairs, we are going to discuss Fattah Second, which is related to the news from the Iran. Okay, so without a further delay, we'll start the discussion. So basically, this classical language topic is in news because the government of India have accorded the status of this classical language to 5 new language here. And apart from this, the government have also changed the criteria as far as according the status of the classical language is concerned. So this is in news because of the 2 aspects. Because the 5 language have been given the status and the criteria have also changed. Okay, so here what we need to understand, how many language are here in India which is considered to be as the classical languages, and before considering the language as a classical language, what are the criteria which is used by the government of India to give the status. So as far as the criteria is concerned, so in 2004, the Committee of Linguistic Expert which was constituted by the Ministry of Culture, that in order to have the criteria based upon which the government of India can assign any language the classical language status. So here we'll understand that what are those 4 criteria. So first and foremost, the first criteria is related to the high antiquity. So here high antique means what? Like the language should be old as enough that it should have the recorded history of at least it should be old for more than the period of 1500 to 2000 years ago, which means this high antique is related to that how much this language is old. So their text or any recorded history should be older than the 1500 to 2000 years. Then the second criteria is related to the body of ancient literature. It means that any language which can be considered as a classical language, they should have a sufficient evidences of the ancient literature or the text. And that too, this ancient literature and the text must be considered as a valuable heritage by the present generation who are speaking that particular language. So the second aspect is related to the body of the ancient literature. Okay. Then the third is when in 2004 for the first time the criteria have been formulated, the third aspect was related to the knowledge text. Here the meaning of the knowledge text means there should be the presence of original literary tradition, means it should not be copy of any other language. Okay, so there should not be any borrowed literary tradition from any other language. or any other speech which is spoken by the any other particular community. Now in 2024, this third criteria have been changed. So the definition of this knowledge text, which was talking about the distinctiveness of the language, have been changed, like it was replaced by the knowledge of the text, which are especially in the prose text. Prose text means a commentary style. Commentary, a style, and in addition to this prose text, there should be a epigraphical and inscriptional evidences. So what is the meaning of epigraphy here? Epigraphy is basically the study of inscription which have been engraved either on the pillar or on the rock. So basically this knowledge of the text should be derived in the prose text in addition to the poetry, and that too there should be a sufficient epigraphy or inscriptional evidences. So this third criteria have been changed. This is very, very important. Okay, then the fourth criteria is language and the literature should be distinctive from the modern format. What does it mean? Basically, this fourth criteria is talking about the evolution in terms of the continuity and the change. So here, how the question can come in the examination. So out of the four criteria, 3 criteria is same and 1 criteria have been changed recently. Okay, so this is about the criteria. And if you talk about the second important aspect, because of this classical language is in news, because the government, in addition to changing the criteria, have accorded the status of the classical language to another 5 languages. Okay, so before 2024 in India, there were only 6 classical language. Okay, that you should remember, and which the language have been accorded for the first time the classical language status, then it was Tamil in 2004. This is very, very important. You should remember that which among the following is the first classical language in India. So the answer is going to be a Tamil language, and that too in the year 2004. Here you should also remember that this criteria also formed by the expert committee in 2004, that we have discussed just now. Okay, then the second language is Sanskrit in 2005, third is Kannada 2008, and in the same year Telugu was also accorded the status, and then in 2013 Malayalam, and in 2014 it is the Uriya. Okay, so up to 2014 there were only 6 language have the classical language status, and now in 2024 means approximate after the 10 year, 5 new language have been given the status of classical language, which means as of now we are having the total 11 language as a classical language. Okay, so here we should know that what are the new language which have been given. So first is Marathi, second is Pali, third is Prakrit, and the fourth is Assami, and the last one is Bengali. So Marathi, Pali, Prakrit, Assami, and Bengali. So these 5 language have been given to the classical language status, and because of which now there are 11 language which is having the classical language status. Okay, so now here one more thing we need to understand, how this classical language, which are 11 in number as of now, how it is different from other languages, and what are the benefit if a language is given the classical language status, what are the benefit that a language is going to have. First and foremost is related to the award. Okay, so these 11 language can have the 2 international award. If there is any scholar who is doing the research and promoting the knowledge and the literature as far as this 11 language is concerned, so they can have the award. So that is given annually by the president that is given annually. So first award is basically the presidential award of the certificate of honor, and the second award is the Maharishi Badrayana Samman award. So these 2 award is specifically dedicated for the classical language, for the scholar who are working restlessly for the promotion of this language in terms of research and in terms of the development of their literature further. Second important benefit that the classical language will have, that it will have the professional chair at the central university, and this professional chair will be set up by the university, by the universal UGC at the central university. So this professional chair is basically further going to promote the literature and research and development as far as the classical language in the central university is concerned. Okay, then the third is there will be a center of excellence for the study of the classical language in the Central Institute for the Indian Language, which is based in the Mysore. Okay, so now these three benefit, one is in terms of award, then the second is in terms of the professional chair at the Central University, which will be set up by the UGC, and the third is there will be a center of excellence for the study in order to promote the further literature and the development at the Center Institute of the Indian Language, which is based in the Mysore. So all these points which we have discussed is an important fact which can be asked in the examination, so you cannot afford to skip. Okay, now the next important national affairs is related to the Nikshay Poshan Yojana. So here, why this is in news? Because the government has government, and that too specifically the Union Health Minister, have doubled the monthly nutritional support under this particular scheme. So previously the monthly nutritional support which was provided of 500 rupees per month, and now that nutritional support is doubled, which means now the patient who are suffering from the tuberculosis, they will be getting 1000 rupees per month. Here basically the objective of this Nikshay Poshan Yojana. So from the portion word we can understand this is about the nutritional aspect, and this nutritional aspect is related to the patient who are suffering from the tuberculosis disease. So in order to supplement their nutritional requirements so that they can recover from this tuberculosis disease, which is related to the immunity, so for their speedy recovery and their nutritional support, the Union Ministry of Health is providing this particularly monthly nutritional support. So from the 500 now they will be getting the 1000 rupees. One more thing here we need to remember is, as far as this Nikshay Poshan scheme is concerned, so it is a centrally sponsored scheme. Okay. Here, the meaning of the centrally sponsored scheme is that this monetary benefit which we have discussed, here this contribution or the financial burden will be bear by both the center and the state government. Okay. So this is what the meaning of centrally sponsored scheme. And in this particular scheme, this money of nutritional support, which is 1000 rupees from now onwards, so there is a direct benefit transfer, which means the patient who is suffering from the tuberculosis, they will be getting in cash through the direct benefit transfer scheme, which means in their bank account. Okay, so this DBT scheme is the part of the overall national tuberculosis elimination program. So in order to eliminate this particular, in order to eliminate the tuberculosis, Nikshay is one of the important component whereby the nutritional support is provided. So all the patients who are suffering from the tuberculosis, if they are notified with the government, okay, so all the patients notified with the government on or after 1st of April 2018, because the scheme was launched in 2018. So the government have said that every patient who have notified to the government institution in the public health facility, they will be getting the monthly nutritional support from the government of India. And notifying here, what is the meaning of this TB notified? There is a web portal, namely Nikshay, whereby the patient must be registered or notified on the Nikshay portal. Okay. So all the details as far as the TB patient is concerned, they are uploaded on the Nikshay portal, and all those patients are going to get this monthly nutritional support for their speedy recovery from the tuberculosis disease. Now we are going to discuss about academic freedom index. Okay, so that was published in the Hindu newspaper. So this particular index have said that, like, in India there is a consistently declining of the academic freedom in India, from the 0.6 to the 0.2, and this declining of the value in this particular index from 0.6 to 0.2 have been in the last 10 years. So from 2013, where in India the academic freedom index was having the value of 0.6, now it is in 2023 having the value of 0.2, which means there is a complete restricted freedom as far as the academic is concerned. We'll try to understand what is the meaning of here academic freedom. Here the meaning of academic freedom is basically doing the research as far as the academic field is concerned, the method of teaching related to doing the relating to the subject matter of academics, and apart from this, the autonomy of the institution, autonomy of the various academic institutions, for example the central university. So all these institutions must be having the autonomy in order to have the freedom to develop the academic expertise. Okay, so here what we need to understand is, first and foremost, that this index is released by which particular organization. So as far as this academic freedom index is concerned, it is released by the Global Public Policy Institute, which is based in Berlin, Germany, along with Scholars at Risk. Here the Scholars at Risk is basically a network of approximate 665 universities across the globe. Okay, so this Global Public Policy Institute, which is based in Berlin, Germany, along with the Scholars at Risk, which is a network of 665 university in the at the global level, along with the VDAM Institute, which is also known as Variety of the Democracy. So these institutions are involved in the publication of this academic freedom index. So in order to assign the value to any particular country as far as their academic freedom is concerned, so what are the criteria? So here in this particular academic freedom, there are the 5 key indicators. This you should remember. Okay, that can be asked in the exam. So what are those 5 indicators? One is a freedom to conduct the research and the teaching. So as I already mentioned, this academic freedom is related to the teaching and the what kind of the content they are doing the research, and similarly they are doing the information dissemination as far as the academic is concerned. Then the second is a freedom of academic exchange and dissemination. Okay, then the third is related to the institutional autonomy. Okay, then the fourth is a campus integrity, and the fifth one is the freedom of academic and the cultural expression. So basically it is about the academic freedom, be it the research, be it the method of teaching, and along with this, that what kind of the content they are teaching in the various academic institution, and that is what the meaning of the academic autonomy. Here if you talk about the range of this score, so any country is given the value right away from the 0 to the 1. Okay, here the 0 means a complete repression and 1 means a complete academic freedom. And in the last 10 years, the journey of India have been from 0.6 to the 0.2, which means we are moving towards the complete repression, and that is what the meaning of this 0.2 value, which this index is saying in India, is there is a completely restricted. Okay, so this is about the academic freedom index. Now the next news is about the global framework on the chemicals. The global framework on the chemicals, which is under the purview of United Nations Environment Program. Okay, so this particular framework was signed in September 2023. So it's been 1 year that under the United Nations Environment Program, this global framework on the chemical have been signed. So here the objective of this framework is basically to deal with the chemical in order to safely disposing, okay, and that too specifically in the middle and low income country. Why? Because this chemical have been this low and middle income country have become a dumping yard for the disposal of these chemicals, which have the which have very adverse impact on the health of human, animal and other biodiversity area, for example various water bodies. So in order to deal with the challenge of the disposal of this chemical, and that too particularly in low and middle income countries, United Nations Environment Program have signed this global framework in September 2023 at the 5th International Conference on the Chemical Management, that is in Bonn. So here Bonn is a place in the Germany. Okay, so here basically what is this global framework of this chemical? This is a fund. Fund means out of this fund the money or the financial assistance is going to be provided to this low and middle income country to finance the project. Okay, to finance the project which will promote the safe disposal of chemical which are hazardous in nature in order to protect the health of the human and environment at large. Okay, so now this is in news because the United Nations Environment Program have called for the first time to sanction the project, its first project under this global framework on the chemical. Okay, so here what we need to understand apart from this, so any project, if it is going to be selected in this framework, so they are going to get the financial assistance, as I have mentioned, from the 3 lakh to 8 lakh USD dollar, and this funding is going to be provided for 3 years. Okay, this is very important. So any project, okay, so any project which is going to be selected under this particular global framework, they will have the financial assistance from the 3 lakhs to 8 lakh USD dollar, and that too from the 3 years. Okay, and the project which is going to have the preference under this particular framework will be the medium scale project. Okay, so we know that environment is one of the important section from where the question are being asked consistently, specifically if I talk about the UPSC. Okay, so this is very crucial. And now here we are also going to understand what is the aim. So I've already mentioned the aim is basically to mitigate the risk which are associated with the disposal of the chemical throughout their life cycle. Here throughout their life cycle, which means right away from the production to the disposal, in order to protect the human health and the environment. Here the environment will include the animal or any biodiversity related region, for example the plant also, water body also. Okay, then the next is in this particular framework how many objective. So it has the 5 objective along with the 28 specific target, which will promote the countries and other stakeholders that can be the civil society organization or the private sector to manage the chemicals throughout their entire life cycle. So it means this framework is meant to promote the sustainable management of the chemical. Okay, so here you should remember that this framework is under the United Nations Environment Program. This is very important. Now the next news that we are going to discuss is about the State of Global Water Resource Report 2023. So the State of Global Water Resource Report 2023 is released for the first time. This is very important fact. This is released for the first time by the World Meteorological Organization. Okay, so this report is released by which organization? World Meteorological Organization, and this is the very first report as far as the global water resource is concerned. So what this report is talking about as far as the water resource is concerned, that in the last 5 years, in the last 5 consecutive years, all the water bodies, specifically the rivers, they were having the water which is below than their normal condition, and that too consistently in the last 5 years. So for the 5 years, what this report is saying, there is a below normal condition for the river flow. Then the second is related to the glacier. So in the last 5 consecutive years, the glacier have suffered the largest mass losses. Here it means because of the melting of glacier, in the last 5 consecutive years, there have been the massive, or we can say the largest loss. Okay, so this is very important aspect or the founding of this report. Then the second is, this report is saying that global rivers have been the driest. Okay, so the driest year for the global years in the last 3 decades, which is the in the last 33 years approximately, which is the 3 decade, have been the driest years for the global rivers. So means in the last 33 years or the 3 decades, all the rivers at this earth, planet earth, they have been the driest years, which means they will be having the normal, having the water which is below their normal conditions. So this is about the last 5 consecutive years or the last 3 decades as far as the water in the river is concerned and the melting of the glacier is concerned. Apart from this, there is a specific aspect of the year 2023 which this report is saying, that this 2023 is the second consecutive years in which all the region in the world with the glacier reported the ice loss. Okay, so 2023 is the second consecutive years when the glacier have reported the ice loss in the. Then the second aspect is, it is the hottest year on the record. Hottest year in record is related to the rise in temperature. Here one irony is, we can see from these 2 or 3 aspects, we are talking about there is a loss of the ice, or we can see there is a rise in the temperature and the water level is declining, which is about the shortage of the water. On the other hand, there are some regions in the world which is facing the issue of flood. So on one hand, there are certain regions in the world which is having the issues of flood. On the other hand, there is an issue of drought, because of which there is the water availability is declining as per this report. And what are the factors which are responsible mentioned in this particular report is, there is a transition from La Nina to El Nino in the mid 2023. So this La Nina is basically a oceanic current. Okay, this is an oceanic current, and that too it is a warm oceanic current flowing nearby the Southern American continent, and that too on the western coast. Okay, so what happened because of this particularly warm oceanic current, namely El Nino, it will have the very high rainfall on the western coast of the the Southern American continent. On the other hand, the country like Australia or even India, they will be having the below average rainfall or maybe the drought. So that is what the reason. And another important reason for these 3 aspects or the consequences is the climate change. We all know that because of the global warming, the temperature is rising, which is promoting the climate change. It is one of the prominent reason as far as the melting of the glacier is concerned. Okay, so this is about this particular report. Here we should also understand that this report is released by the World Meteorological Organization, which is a specialized agency of United Nations. Here, what is the meaning of specialized agency? That this is an independent international organization which is working in a collaboration of United Nations. Okay, So this is an independent organization working in collaboration with the United Nations. So if you talk about the how many specialized agency with the associated with the United Nations, you will find that in some of the website it is written 15 or somewhere it is written 17. So this difference of 2 is because there is a World Bank group. Okay, so sometime this World Bank group is consisting of the 5 different international organization which is the part of this World Bank group. So they are considered sometime as a 3 different international organization. So if this is considered as a different organization, so that's how you will be finding a 17 specialized agency, otherwise you will find the 15. Okay, so this is the reason that why somewhere you will be finding 15 or 17. So out of these 15 or 17, World Meteorological Organization is one those a specialized agency which became the part in the 1950. Its history have been related to that previously it was known as International Meteorological Organization. Okay, so which turned into the World Meteorological Organization in 1915, and thereafter it have become the United Nations Specialized Agency. This body is dealing with the 3 aspects. One is meteorology. As far as the meteorology is concerned, it is related to the weather and the climate. Then the second aspect this World Meteorological Organization is dealing is operational hydrology, which is related to the water. And the third is geophysical science. So this World Meteorological Organization deal with the 3 aspects. Okay, that you should remember. As far as its headquarter is concerned, then it is based in the Geneva, Switzerland. Okay, this is very, very important. You should know that report is released by which particular organization. Now, the next from the international affairs we are going to discuss is Fattah Second. Okay, so this Fattah Second is basically a hypersonic medium range ballistic missile. Here, what you need to understand is that this missile is related to Israel. Sorry, this is related to Iran. Okay, this missile is related to Iran, which have been deployed in order to deal with the conflict. As of now, this Iran is having the conflict with the country Israel. So in this particular conflict, this Iran have deployed this Fattah Second, which is a hypersonic medium range ballistic missile. How the question will come? Like Fattah Second, what is this? So here you should know this is a hypersonic medium range ballistic missile. Fattah Second, which is a hypersonic medium range ballistic missile, recently is in news, belongs to which country? So here the answer will be the Iran. Okay, that's how the question is framed in the all the competitive exam whenever any defense related equipment or any particular thing is news. So this is developed by the aerospace force of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, which is of Iran. Okay, and this Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is Iranian armed force. Here, what is the objective of this particular hypersonic medium range ballistic missile? To strengthen the Iranian deterrence capacity and enhance its security and sustainable peace within this particular region. So that was launched in June 2023 after its various successful tests. Here, one more thing we need to understand, what is the meaning of this hypersonic? Here, the meaning of hypersonic is that the speed of this missile is more than the speed of the sound, which is approximately a Mach 13 to Mach 15, which means for per hour 15,000 kilometer. Okay, and because of this ballistic missile is having such a high speed, it is very difficult to detect and attack on this missile. So this is what the meaning of hypersonic means. The speed is more than the speed of the sound. If we talk about the range of this particular missile is, then it is a 1400 kilometer. Okay, which can be further increased to 2000 kilometers with the technological upgradation. Now, the next news that we are going to discuss, one article is published in the Hindu newspaper. which have linked basically high processed food is a cause of diabetic, and that too specifically in Indian population. Here, the high processed food is related to the promotion or the increasing the burden of the diabetes, because of which India is becoming the diabetic capital of the world. The reason being is this high processed food have a very high quantity of age. Okay, and what is this age? This is advanced glycation end product. Okay, so here we need to understand what is this meaning of glycation. So here, this glycation is basically a harmful compound which form whenever the protein or any other fat react with the sugar. So this is glycation is basically a compound which forms because of the reaction in the protein or fat along with the sugar. So what happened with this glycation, that it increased the inflammation in the body, and this inflammation in the body is a precursor of what? The diabetes. So if there is a high glycation in the body, then it will increase the inflammation, and this inflammation is related to the diabetes. Okay, so as far as this age is concerned, it can be produced in the body naturally with the as the age is increasing. But as of now, because the lifestyle have been changed because of the increasing consumption of what? This high processed food, it increased the accumulation of age in the human body, which further increase the inflammation and thereafter the diabetes. Okay, how it will increase? So as I mentioned, it occurs the naturally. How? Because there is a sugar in the blood vessels. So this sugar in the bloodstream react with the either protein or the fat, and there will be the process of the formation of this glycation. So this is something will be increased because the age will increase. But now, why? Because this high processed food, they are formed because of either the roasting or high fried. So at this higher temperature, what happen is the protein and the fat will be combining with the sugar when it is prepared on the high temperature, be it is a whether it is a grilled or roasted. Okay, so this high processed food are having the high age, which is related to what? The high inflammation and thereafter the diabetes. So food which are cooked at high temperature, they will have the high level of age, because the processed food are also rich in the age, which is the primary cause of diabetes. And that is the reason that the shifting of this lifestyle, and that too the changing in the consumption pattern of this ultra processed food, which is linked with the age, is promoting or one of the prominent cause of the increasing burden of the diabetes in India. So here you should know what is the age, which is advanced glycation end product that can be formed in the body naturally as the age is increasing. But it can there are other sources of age as well, which are the food which is cooked at the high temperature. This is important from the perspective of exam. Now, the last news article of today's session is about the species which is Indian wild ass. Okay, so this is published in the Hindu newspaper. This is in news because the Gujarat government have conducted the 10th wild ass population estimate. Okay, wild ass population estimate conducted by the Gujarat government, okay, earlier this year. So as per this particular report, the population of this wild ass is increasing right away from the 1973 to till now 2024. So the population have been estimated to 7,672. So we'll see that how does this Indian wild ass looks alike. So its appearance, we can see here that it is characterized by the distinctive white marking in the interior part of the body. We can see here Okay, so there is a distinctive white marking on the interior part of the rump, okay, and on the posterior part of the shoulders, okay, like this. Here we can see the posterior part. Along with this, there is a stripe down the back that is bordered by the white. So this reason is also the white. So this is what the physical aspect of this wild as. Now here we should also understand that where does it found in India, what are its conservation status, the habitat characteristics. So this is basically a subspecies of Asian wild ass, which is known as khur in local language in the Gujarat. Okay, so what is the important characteristics of this Indian wild ass which is found in the Gujarat region? So they can survive in extreme condition. Here the meaning of extreme condition is even if there is a very low availability of the water and fodder. Okay, so in these condition also this particular wild ass can survive. If you talk about the distribution, that previously it used to be found in the northwest India, in Pakistan, and to an extent even in the Central Asia. But as of now, this Indian wild ass is only confined to the little run of Kutch and the great run of Kutch. This is the point which is important from the perspective of exam, that what is the geographical distribution of Indian wild ass. So only in Gujarat, and that too little and great run of Kutch. Little and great run of Kutch. Here the habitat is the desert and the grassland ecosystem, that we can easily understand because that depends upon the fodder. If we talk about the conservation status, so as per the IUCN, it is threatened, and as per the Indian law, which is the Wildlife Protection Act 1972, it is included in the Schedule 1. Okay, so this is important. If you talk about the ecological significance, then it is important as far as the seed dispersal is concerned, and that too in the grassland ecosystem. We know that the grassland ecosystem is dominated by the grasses along with the tree which are scattered at a very large distance. So in order to disperse the seed, when this when this Indian wild ass is feeding upon this particular grasses, so they will disperse the seed which will maintain the biodiversity of this grassland ecosystem. So this is very, very important, and that is what the reason that it needs to be conserved along with the habitat creation for the other species. Why? Because if in the grassland ecosystem, if they will be feeding upon the grasses, so that will clear the way out for the other species in order to survive. So by clearing the pathway, and that in the grassland ecosystem, they will create the habitat for the other species. Okay, so what are the threats because of which the number was declining, especially in 1973. So it was increased human presence. We know that when the population will be rising, so there will be the burden on the agriculture land. So because of which the grassland will be converted into the agriculture land, and there will be the habitat destruction. So the human presence, and another reason is the salt farming and the agriculture, as I mentioned, and then extensive cattle grazing. So because of this cattle grazing, there will be the limited availability of the fodder for this particular Indian wildlife wild ass. So this was all about today's session. Thank you so much.